Welcome everybody. We got a new video here for everybody's enjoyment. This is a game I'm playing against Randolph, and I am playing Atredies. So in the last video I released, we did an objective-based strategy, and in this video, I will try an aggressive strategy, which is sort of my forte. If you haven't heard me mention it before, I think this game has sort of a circular feature where a objective-based Atredies will lose to an aggressive Harkonnen, an aggressive Harkonnen will lose to an aggressive Atredies, and an aggressive Atredies will lose to a defensive Harkonnen. So let's see how this goes. My default as Atredies is always to play aggressive, and I rolled 3 Mentat dice and a strategy, so that's not a great start. Um, I think I end up picking deployment here for my Bene Gesserit token. So a quick note on the Bene Gesserit token. If you are going to play aggressive, oftentimes you want to save your Bene Gesserit token for later because typically the Harkonnen player has to play defensive as soon as they see you playing aggressive. So I'm debating over not using it here at all. I think in the chat I'm saying I'm debating between leader and deployment, but anyway. And you can't put all your eggs in one basket, so you've also got to pay attention to objectives on the side here, which are Paul and Jessica in the same sitch. What else did I have here? Moving 2 legions to the minor erg area, which is the light yellow worthless sand area, and then also revealing a sitch in Paul's location. So I open with tested with Gom Jabbar or within the Gom Jabbar because I don't like my starting objective, which is 10 yellow to score. Yellow is kind of like logistics, red is combat. So the new one I draw is 9 red jihad points or combat points. So that all feels really good. Um, so yeah, I think everything's okay. So I have to keep in mind I have limited worm sign I can put out because I am using my Bene Gesserit token. So again, I'm trying to hide my aggressive intentions early on. So I'm setting up a couple worm sign next to eco stations. Um, there's a benefit to going after the eco station in the top right corner of the map from our perspective here, because if a sandworm pops up, and if I happen to use atomics later on, it's nice to have a sandworm there, even if you do or don't get the eco station. And he counterplays with remove 3 worm sign token and draw 2 planning cards. And he does that because he has a lot of Mentat dice. I had a lot of Mentat dice. Okay, fine. The other piece about playing aggressive is you need to pay attention to where your double elite deploy token is. And in my case, it's on the middle left sitch or siege. Because you want to pair that double elite with a single elite, which is located directly south of him, and then also 1 deployment token, and then you can kind of get your ball of doom going there. But it can be hard to do with minimal movements. I mean, having only 1 house dice and 1 strategy dice means, functionally I'm only moving 2 spaces. So really this first turn is kind of so-so. Um, he's got his 2 ornithopters suggesting he's going to, attack the top left corner and then swing out to, a location maybe to the bottom left afterwards. I don't love that my double elite token is also on my 3 siege and my middle left siege. I don't think that's a great situation, but, is what it is. The North Pole is fairly undefended. I'm thinking about maybe I just pivot and attack that, but oftentimes I like to try to stack that with an objective. And I'm also thinking that it's pretty important to try to get Paul out, so maybe I do want to spend a turn getting Paul and Jessica into the same sitch and then remove reveal a sitch where Paul is and score those two objectives. I really don't like the minor erg one, even though I have a 10 point yellow, because moving two legions there is essentially going to take 2 dice, and it puts them in the least useful spot in the entire game, I think. So we'll see. You'll note I do have family atomics, which is great. I really like that. So that plays into my aggressive desires early on. All right, what else do we have going on here? So this is the point in the turn where I really need to commit to what I'm gonna do. I dropped one worm sign connecting my two attack legions in the bottom left. I'm debating over where to put my other worm sign. And my choices are I can either drop it right where the eco station is, and then I can put my troops directly next to Haga Basin, or I can drop them into the eco station. Maybe I can move them together to defend. So I say, you know what, I'm just going to put this worm sign back in the eco station connector, which again is kind of my default area. If I have atomics, you never know, that might be a worm. I could pick up that eco station if I need to. It's just kind of a good flexible place to drop a worm sign if you're not sure. Okay, he plays Baron's Personal Guard. That gets Baron and two elites out. That is a good defensive play, which again, I'm trying to not give away my aggressive intentions, but I think a lot of people that play me know that when I like to play Atredies, I'm always trying to find ways to be aggressive anyway. So he drops the Baron and two elites and Arakeen. Okay, fair enough. Better to be safe than sorry. Maybe I'm going to have to pivot to objectives here. And his move is going to be Beast sitting onto the eco station. Okay, that's a good move. It does declare his intentions, so his plan is now to probably attack with the Ornithopter, do a double beast move, attack the Sitch down south, and I have a 2 and a 3 up there, so if I don't defend this situation, I am now going to be 5 points out of 10 in the hole by turn 1, which I don't love that, but so choices here are, do you deploy? And if you deploy into the 2 Sitch, is it driving you guys crazy that sometimes I say Siege and sometimes I say Sitch? Yeah, me too. But guess what? It's just going to happen. The choices are, I can deploy up north, but then if I do that, I can't get Jessica and Paul out on the board. So then I'm giving away objectives that I could otherwise score. And yes, I only have one deployment dice. I can use that to deploy Jessica, and then I can use a leader dice to deploy Paul. But he's got me in a little bit of a pickle because there's no obvious move here, I feel like. If you take a look at my cards here, I have the card that allows me to deploy, I believe, Fatakin into a Sitch too, so that's fun to pair with atomics. I don't know. Atredies can be tough because you got to spend a lot of time figuring out, what you think the best move is. So I decide to deploy and I draw a deployment token. Now the order of deploy is you draw your token and look at it. Then you decide what leader to put on it. Then you decide where to put both tokens. So I see that it's a double elite. That's a very defensive kind of middle of the road deploy token. I feel like if I deploy that up north, I'll have 3 elites and a regular. And if I put Stilgar there, maybe I can inflict some damage. But if I do that, I'm giving up my objectives. So my other idea is I put Jessica and the 2 elites down in the northeast siege. And then I deploy Paul there later, and then I score both objectives, which seems like a pretty conservative way to go. So apparently I'm not playing aggressive, and well, maybe I am, because I am holding on to atomics at the same time. And I will have Paul out, and Paul will be Paul Muad'Dib next turn. So I think it's maybe a little safe, but it's kind of middle of the road for me. So he's identifying that I'm going to have those two objectives. Now, why pick that siege up there especially? Because he's got his carry-all on the board there, which means he can't deploy an ornithopter and scout the siege ahead of time. So again, it's a kind of a safe move, but also kind of secret aggressive, which I like. Okay, he is now debating on whether or not to do a regular attack or a surprise attack into the siege up top. And I think if I remember right, he goes with a regular attack, which I think is the correct move. That unit is a little bit light. It does have Sardaukar, but it's not totally pumped full of elites. So we go for that. And I have 4 dice. He has 6. I could discard here, but to me, it's not going to be worth it, even though he's not doing a surprise attack. My hope here is to inflict 2 hits, maybe 3, but that likely won't happen. Odds are I should inflict 0. He is removing 1 shield. I block 1 damage. He blocks both of mine. I take 4, and I'm dead. That's pretty average results there for this sort of setup. So he's going to get his first leader out, Thwiffer, the quicker picker-upper. And Beast is alive in the deep desert. He is 2 moves away from my next sitch, and he's got 3 dice to play. Okay, so now I have another choice. Do I defend that? Do I not defend that? I mean, the other one's a 3, and it's not only is it a 3, it's also my double elite token, which is my good aggressive token to play. So, yeah. So here's some options, right? I could go grab 1, 2 eco stations, but I don't have a great third move to make. I could grab 2 eco stations and lump my deployment tokens up together on my 3 siege. Give me 3 elites in one spot, which isn't bad. I could go for just getting Paul out on the board, maybe. I don't know. Possible. Yeah, kind of limited options. And part of being a good Harkonnen player is making the Atredies player have, like, you're never going to prevent the Atredies player from having any options available, but you just don't want them to be, perfectly obvious. If they're going to do a Stilgar and pick up 3 eco stations, that's not great. If they're going to do a strategy dice and not be able to Stilgar and only pick up 2, that's better. If you're ever making them kind of waste moves randomly, that's good for you. Yeah. So, I have some flexible cards. Again, I really want to do atomics, but I'm not going to be able to until next turn. And if I'm going to be able to use atomics, I got to get some points on the board. So I think at this point, I'm analyzing it and saying, okay, I can get 3 green this turn. And really, I need a 4th green to be able to open with atomics if I want to do that. And then Paul and atomics is a good card, so I'm going to go ahead and use Stilgar, and I'm excuse me, I'm going to pick up 2 eco stations. I'm going to hope that one of them's green, and then for my 3rd move, my choices are I could pick off a harvester, I could group up my soldiers together on my 3 siege on the left hand side of the board. And that's really it. I mean, I could move towards a minor erg, but I don't think that's gonna do me too much good. So I opt for defensive play. So I put 6 hit points in a 3 siege, 8 hit points if you count the leaders. And then as the Harkonnen player right now, you want to take stock and say, Okay, 3 middle of the road tokens have been used. That means 2 of my tokens are double regulars, 1 of my tokens is double elite, and 1 of my tokens is single elite. So I've got like 3 bad tokens and 1 good token left, maybe? That might be wrong. Maybe 3, 1, and 1. But you always want to keep an eye on the double elite. All right, so now if I'm the Baron, I'm saying, okay, well, I've only got moves left, so my choices are I can move, and then surprise attack, or I can double move to get somewhere, and then I could have 2 separate attacks, or an attack and a move. I think the correct answer here might be move, surprise attack. The problem is I've got kind of limited dice as well, and no more desert powers. So, and he doesn't have any ornithopters to play. Otherwise, he could move ornithopter surprise attack. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the right move here is. I probably beast an attack and hope that that's a double regular. Although if it is, I'd be nervous about me deploying another person. As Atredies, my hope here is that he does a double beast move. But my worst fear is that he does a single move next to the mountain, so I can't get a worm sign out, and then maybe consolidates a second group in Haga Basin or something. I think that would be my least favorite move he could do. And he does decide to use the leadership dice. And yep, move 2 up to the mountains. Okay. That's pretty reasonable. Here's the thing, I can't afford to surprise attack that because I don't have Stilgar there, and I'm only rolling 3 dice, and I don't want to discard my hand. So, oh yeah, I don't have the double Fatakin deploy. I have Voice from the Outer World, which is my favorite Atredies card. So Atomics and Voice from the Outer World is great. Yeah. Okay. So now my choices are I deploy into the siege that's under attack, or I deploy up where Lady Jessica is and build up my attack force. But he's got the Baron and some Sardaukar and a bunch of elites in the base, so I don't think that's great. I could do a leadership dice and do some moves, and then also deploy Paul where Jessica is. But where would my move be? Would I vacate the 3 and go back to the bottom of the board? Would I group up on the regular? I don't know. And I need to save my house dice to deploy Paul with either a deploy or a leader. So, and then I have a Mentat, which deploys. I could use a Mentat to deploy Paul and a Fatakin and then do a move, but God, how bad would that feel? Put Paul and a Fatakin out to go get an eco station or go group up with a regular. Doesn't seem like what the Voice from the Outer World should do. And then I have Juba Cloaks, which is move a unit, right? So I can move a unit that's in a desert, including one that has a siege. So I could move something somewhere and then play another card, but I don't really have another great planning card. I could discard some cards and try to cycle through, but with the Adab card, but don't. Nothing feels great here. I don't know. Think about what you would do. Um, Feel free to comment. Comment spot number 1. What do you do turn 1? T1D3. Turn 1 dice 3. The other thing I could do is just draw 2 cards. I can't do any worm sign. Maybe the combat goes well. Maybe I wished I had cards. Maybe I draw cool Atredies cards. Atredies cards are pretty cool. They're good to have. I'm going to just draw 2 cards. There we go. I get the voice, which is not good, and I get Gurney, which is kind of a B tier card as well. So, okay. He attacks with a regular attack. Now, my general rule of thumb is I want more than 2-fold hit points when attacking a siege. I think if I have 2-fold hit points as the Harkonnen, it's even money with a surprise attack. If he doesn't have a surprise attack, which he does not, then I think I would want more. So he's at 6, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 attack dice, and I'm at 6, 7, 8 hit points. So yeah, 8 hit points against 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hit points. I think I'm favored in this one. So I take 2, he takes 2. Now, unfortunately, the beast did not roll a hit. If we had a special, there would be one more damage taken, which would have been nice. And you can see the problem. I do 2 damage, and he has to take a third for pressing, right? So now we're at 3, 5, and he's at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 5 to 8. So he's evening the odds, but he's not quite there yet. Again, no beast, which is painful for him. He did roll some blocks, which is important. Beast would have done 3 or 3 total, but instead I take 2. And he takes 1 and then has to press again. So he's going to take 1 and then probably another regular and then discard 2 cards. But it's a hard thing to think about because you don't know what cards you've got there. So he takes 1. Maybe he already lost the elite on there. Nope, there we go. Okay. So he takes 1 and then loses the Sardaukar. So he's rolling 5 and I'm rolling 6 again with 1 leader. So this is good because I'm still not in a position where I need to discard cards. And again, the hit points are 4 to 6. So, again, I think I've still got the edge in this battle here. It certainly helped that it was a 3 siege and not a 1 siege. But again, if you're ever looking for like a cheater method for should I win this, my rule of thumb is twice the hit points is kind of what you should expect to break even on. Okay, I roll all damage, which is I actually wanted some shields here. And he's lucky in that he rolled all defense there too. That is pretty fortunate for everybody. Otherwise, he'd be dead and even if I'm dead, the siege is still alive. So, okay, Beast misses a 3rd special in a row, so that's really unlucky at this point. So we each take 1 damage. I'm down to 3 hit points, he's down to 4 hit points, but he also has to press, which, did he take a damage for pressing? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so he says he did. He discards 1. I discard 1. He's rolling 4, I'm rolling 6. Once you're attacking and rolling less, it's pretty much just desperation at that point. I don't know if I would have attacked here, but then you have to think about what else that group's going to do. The good news is it's just sitting in the mountains. So I rolled 1 shield, which he really needed a special there, and it needed me to roll no shields. So combination of me rolling 1 and him not rolling a special is tough. He does 2. I do 2 back. Lucky for him, I rolled a bunch of specials. So 2, and then so he loses the beast in a regular and then downgrades and discards 2, so he's rolling 3. And I'm at 4, but I need to make sure this guy dies, so I'll discard 2. I'll discard Juba Cloaks and maybe Gurney? Nope, I discard this one that because I don't know. I don't have any I want to shred this turn. So 6, and the last 2 were both shields, which was important to have that rolled. So I do 3, he does none. I have 1 guy left in a 3 sitch. So that was very good. It could have gone the other way. I think the odds were in my favor, um, but that doesn't mean that that battle goes that way all the time. That was a risky play. The safe play would have been do extra deployment, but all kind of if you're playing an aggressive Atredies, you want to eliminate Harks off the board, and sometimes you can do that by getting them to attack you. So I'm going to play a leadership dice with my house dice. That allows me to put Paul on the board and then make 2 movements with leaders. And here's a great example of not having great options to do. So my rule of thumb here is if you don't have anything to do right away, start prepping for objectives you might draw down the road. So I'm prepping for drawing minor erg. I'm prepping for 4 in the desert, or, you know, that's really kind of it. It's probably a better idea to leave somebody in that siege, but, you know, at least the one in the up north that I'm moving towards the eco station. The other thing I could have done is killed a harvester. That actually probably, well, except for I have 3 elites up there and I don't really want to lose those. So, yes. All right, let's do some worm sign. General idea is if harvesters are in the deep desert, they have about a 35% chance of dying, I think. So you should generally get 1 harvester, but if there's a carry-all, it'll counter it. I get no harvesters. That's okay. But I did get that sandworm out. And if you remember, I had mentioned that sometimes that's nice to have because of atomics. So, you know, that's okay. Also, that regular could make it back home if he needed to. I will then score Paul and Jessica in the same sitch, and then I will score reveal. I reveal a deployment token, but the card says reveal a siege, so we correct that here shortly. And it's kind of unfortunate I revealed that deployment token because sometimes deployment tokens have Fatakin in them, and that one did not. So, all right, so we pretend he doesn't see the deployment token. He now knows that that's a 2, and he's got 3. Paul Muad'Dib has 3 elites up north with just with Lady Jessica. All right. Shuffle up the erg. I actually don't toss the erg because, you know, maybe I need it because I do have a 10 yellow and I don't want to just toss all my yellow. And I'm regretting my decision because I sort of wish I had tossed it again now that I see it a second time, even though I have a group right next to the erg to score it with. So I don't know. Now this is fun. Now I draw Chat the Leper, which is 2 Fatakin and a Nabe, which that could go up to where Paul's at. And I draw Thumpers, and Thumpers is a fun one to play with atomics. Let's see, harvesters in the northwest corner. So that's cool. Oh no, southwest corner. That's pretty cool too. You know, rule of thumb with harvesters is you want to put them opposite where the sandworms are, and you want to make it hard for Atredies to take them out, and you want to make them pay. If they do take them out, you want them to be out of position. That's fair. My general rule of thumb is I pretend spice just doesn't exist as Atredies, unless I have the destroy 2 harvester red card, which I would have liked to have seen, but that's okay. Okay, very good roll. Double house, leader, deployment. Anytime you roll house dice, if you have not seen the Carino card Reports of Traders, you must always be thinking about what that could look like. Reports of Traders is discard a house dice. And so they play a dice to kill a dice, but that's very effective because Atredies only has 4 dice, right? You'll also note that because the Harks did not get 2 sieges, I do not have a Bene Gesserit to play, which sometimes is why I like to save my Bene Gesserit for the second round, because let's say I play Atomics here. It's going to cost a card to play Atomics and going to cost a dice to attack, and then if I want to do a follow-up, that's fine. So when you're thinking about launching an attack, you want to see how your cards group up together. So if I use Atomics on Rimwall, I can then play another card. And I'm looking at Thumpers and thinking to myself, well, that Ecostation Scientist guy, if I play Atomics and then follow up with Thumpers, I could drop 2 Sandworms there, and then I've chained a road from Muad'Dib out to Arrakeen right away. Now, if you look at my objectives, all my objective cards are lots of yellow and lots of red. And at the moment, I only have lots of green. So that's not great. I could also blow Atomics, put Gurney there, land on Gurney, and have a full death ball, but I'd probably have to take a counterattack. I do have Voice from the Outer World, which could add a unit to Paul. Right now I'm at 5. Am I at 5? I've got 3 elites up there. So if I deploy, I would have 5. That could be good. But because I'm so low on both red and yellow, I also need to be thinking about, what else to do, like how to score objectives, because you can't win just by bulldozing cities if your objectives don't line up. Okay, so I Lady Jessica here instead of waiting for Reverend Mother to come out because I don't think I have an easy way to do it. I also think, you might think to yourself, well, why not just Desert Power? Okay, fine, but where do I Desert Power to? In Ecostation? Boring. Take out Harvesters? That's not what an aggressive Atredies player does. All right, so I play Chat the Leper to put 2 Fatakin out. Now you might ask me, Wombat, why not play Atomics first and then play that? Well, the problem is if you start prepping for an attack early, then you're giving away what you're doing. I'm probably giving away what I'm doing anyway, but he does deploy through fear. He uses his deployment dice and puts through fear in a more aggressive location. That's kind of like what that tells me is that says, look, I'm gonna plan on attacking the 3 sitch out there. And at this point, a human would probably say, let's go defend our women and children. Whereas a wombat might say, give me my Atomics. I mean, I think I have to play Atomics here. Because I could play Atomics, play Thumpers, and then have 2 attack dice to do, right? I could use my deployment to Atomics, blow up Rimwall, then play Thumpers. Then I have a house dice to do a surprise attack, and then I could even chain that with Paul and do a worm attack followed by a surprise attack. So I'm going to blow Atomics, and at this point, as the Harks, you're feeling pretty bad. Like you're like, oh god, here we go. Like Paul Muad'Dib can drop some Worm Sign, can do an attack. I'm probably going to have to move a guy into Rimwall to block. And then I say, no, thank you, sir. I'm going to put 2 Sandworms up there next, thanks to the scientist who's sitting in the desert right now, placing Thumpers. So pretty cool. I would have liked to have seen that in the movie. Maybe we did. I don't know. Yeah. So now, as Harks, you have a tough decision to make because you win by getting sieges, and it's going to cost you 2 dice to do that. You have some upgrade dice you could spend. You also kind of need to get guys into Arakeen, maybe, but maybe not. Because here's the thing, if you go into Arakeen and I take it, the way the rules work, you don't win instantly if you get Arakeen. You assess the points, and if you haven't maxed your points, then you just keep playing the game like normal, and you will only win at the end of the turn. So I think there's a weird world here. Replace 2 elites with 2 Sardaukar and then move to Sardaukar. Okay. I think what I do here is I think I replace the elite in Imperial Basin and move them up north. So I've got a full stack of 6 guys, and then I think I replace the Sardaukar in Arakeen too. And then I keep the other guys behind to counterattack. And that way, it's going to force Paul to attack Arakeen because I can't afford to wait for them to upgrade. Like if I sandworm in, chances are I don't kill as many people as I would otherwise. But okay, so he moves 5 units total with 2 leaders into Arakeen and leaves a regular behind. And then he moves Thufir up to threaten the Sitch up top. And then he's going to have to use the middle Ornithopter. I think, and I might be wrong here, so here's what I'm talking about with counterplay. So aggressive Atredies check is beat by defensive Harkonnen. I think that's my thesis. So a defensive Harkonnen in this instance, I think, would group up in Arakeen and prepare a counterattack with Thufir's group so that they could counterattack with a surprise attack so that even if I win in Arakeen, then he can come in with a full thing afterwards. I don't know. We'll see. That may or may not be right. Also, you can't win if you don't take sieges. So, I'm not saying that's totally right. But we'll see. The other piece to the puzzle here is he knows because I've revealed my token, he knows exactly what I have up in Paul, and that's 5 elites, which is 10 hit points, 11, 12, 13, 14 hit points counting leaders. And in Arakeen, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I really probably need more like 20 to attack in there. At least as close to 20 as I can get. Which, hard to do. So I do have the Voice from Beyond, which would give me another Fatakin, which is good. I was hoping to, the other thing I could do is I could just Desert Power and start wearing down Arakeen, but, Desert Power onto a plateau, that's only average of 2 hits. So if I do 2 hits and he upgrades 3 elites, that's a net loss for me because he's adding 3 hit points and I'm taking away 2. And then I have to sand right out. The other thing I'm thinking about is if I surprise attack, just regular surprise attack Imperial Basin, wipe those units off the board. Then I'm trying to gauge what his counterattack looks like, and do you surprise attack with the Baron in? And if so, what does that look like? And then if he does or does not, then the next turn I can do a Desert Power with Paul's ability, do a worm into Arakeen, and then surprise attack into there. So maybe I do a Voice from Beyond and go for Imperial Basin. That might be the right move, but also imagine how well this game looks if I just do Voice from Beyond right now, or Voice from the Outer World right now, wipe out Arakeen, and Thufir's off trying to take Sieches, you know. And then, so the next piece is I'm using a house dice because I am also concerned that he's going to play a card that makes me discard a house dice. But here we go. So now I have 3 Fadekin, 3 elites, 4 leaders, Lady Jessica. No, yeah, regular Lady Jessica, who's only, sorry, not sure why I have a cough here. Apologies for that. Regular Jessica and Paul Muad'Dib. So Paul gets an automatic hit. And we're going to roll dice. And no additional specials, which, okay, that's fine. Special probably would only been 1 hit anyway. This is where 3 Fadekin are nice because I'm basically canceling out the Baron. He still does get 1 hit. He cancels out all mine as well, so very good across the board. I do 5 damage, and he does 3 damage. So I incorrectly take 2 names here. I should probably be downgrading my elites instead. But I downgrade an elite and take 2 names. I think it's because I think Jessica is different than what she is. He takes 2 Sardaukar and a leader, so he still continues to roll 5. That's probably correct. I downgrade an elite to press. I'm still rolling 6, which seems good. And I still have my 3 Fadekin. He does roll a special with the Baron again and lots of shields, but the 3 Fadekin make all the difference here. And for those of you who watched, maybe I didn't release that other video yet, if these were elites, this attack would be doomed already, right? So we'll see. Okay, so block, block, block. I do 4 damage, he does none, and we survive with a nice force. So didn't quite double his hit points, but the surprise attack tipped the scales. And there we go. So Baron goes in the tank. The rest of his guys have gone down, and losing Arakeen is a tough pill to swallow. You know, as Harkonnen, it's really important if you lose Arakeen and it does not end the game, that you need to keep in mind that as long as you have your objective scored before the Atredies do, then, oh, I didn't wipe everything. Okay, fair. He's got 1 guy left. I have to lose 1 more to press. I will block his hits and kill him. Yep. Okay. So he's dead. I take Arakeen. I took 6 hits there, I think. And then the great part about taking Arakeen, for other reasons obviously too, it eliminates some cards, it prevents him from deploying there, it divides his forces in half, and it brings out both the Reverend Mother and Chani, and in this case also Aaliyah because green was up. So here we are, start of turn 2, sitting in the capital, or middle of turn 2, I guess. And his main attack force is now separate. So imagine if Thufir was still grouped up either in Carthage or somewhere. He could potentially counterattack here. That's a tough Atredies force in there, though. Hunter Seeker. Yeah, that's going to put Paul in the tank. That's actually a really good card for him because my plan was to Desert Power and then surprise attack Imperial Basin. But I cannot do that anymore because Paul's in the tank. And because I killed my nabes, I don't have a very good surprise attack. I have a surprise attack with 2 shields. So I'm way up on, or he's way up on dice, so I'm just going to do some Desert Power. These worms aren't going to do much anymore. I get 3 hits, which is 1 over the expected. Very good. And I can only use those on Imperial Basin, so go ahead and use that, and then probably my next worm too. Thufir's gonna attack with a surprise attack, which seems fine because maybe he'll want to do more logistics after that. And he doesn't have leaders in the main capital anymore. Carthage, the former capital, is now the current imperial capital once again. I roll 2 hits. He rolls Thufir's special will block the other hit. He does plenty of damage to get rid of me and gets a 3-point sitch. Now he's at 5, which is 1 below fade. Oh no, is it not? Oh, because he bought a spice last turn. Okay. So he will get fade now, but the nice part is he does not have a deploy token to put him on the board. And if he does have a card to put him on the board, he does not have his leader dice to do a move and attack. Paul going in the tank is really pretty unfortunate. So I have Gurney and I have Bill of Particulars, which I'm planning on discarding in a combat. So, no great cards to play. I have a Sandworm. The Sandworm can't attack Carthage because it can't go. Can it attack Carthage? I don't. Maybe. Didn't really consider that. I don't know what the rules on that are. If you can comment, do like an at 46 minutes or whatever. I know if that Sandworm could attack Carthage, because if so, I think this Imperial Basin move is probably wrong. But I'm going to try to do 2 damage. I do 3. That's above average. I only needed 2, clear out the basin. I felt like I didn't have anything better to do than that. I'm going to have 1 more Sandworm action too, which maybe I'll fill the gap with another Sandworm. Thumpers is the MVP so far. Okay, so 1 move out closer to this empty sitch, which is a 2, and he only needs 4 points to win. So keep in mind, if you didn't notice early on, I've got my bottom 3 sieges left to right are 2, 1, 2. So I'm okay losing a 2 and a 1, but I'm not okay losing a 2 and a 2, and the North Pole is sort of angrily looking at me. Now he moved out to Carthage with his units, which actually is exactly what I wanted him to do, because even though Paul's not there, I have enough Fatikin, and if I manage to wipe out Carthage, he's got almost nothing left, and then I can gurney in and cause some problems with whatever. So, yeah. I'm not sure if he's planning on attacking me. That's the best case scenario, if he tries to attack me with just a bunch of regulars and elites, because my force will slaughter them there. And then, so I'm planning on scoring the remove a token because I need some points, and I'm not in mountain areas, and I'm not in Erg, so I have leaders, but I can't use leadership dice to get down to Erg areas for 2. And I probably need to attack anyway. So I think I just delay my, I think I might just delay my turn by moving a sandworm or putting some worm sign out. Now for worm sign, where do you go with worm sign? I don't even know. Maybe you put one next to the eco station there and try to get another worm to pop out, or maybe you drop them by the North Pole to discourage them from moving around, or you just drop them by the siege and see if other things come out. I'm going to get 4 worm sign down by those harvesters, so chances are I'll have two worms there. He points out that I get another Bene Gesserit, which actually, is that right? Yeah, maybe it is. Oh, because I didn't get it from the first turn. Yeah, that's correct. So I do have a Bene Gesserit coming up here. So decisions to be made. Do you attack now? I think I do. Yep. All right. So Lady Jessica bringing the troops in. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hit points. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I don't quite double, and I don't have a um, combat a combat driven attack. I did roll a bunch of shields. That doesn't help me. And 3 attack dice. I block all of his, and he takes 3. And then I can downgrade a regular. Yep, don't get rid of your fate again when you're attacking Wombat. Downgrade a regular, discard my Imperium ban card. You know, honestly, I probably could have lost Jessica there, but you never know when you need a leader for something. Okay, 3 Fatakin, wiping out 3 shields. That's why that's important. And then I take 2. He takes 5. He's dead. I lose a Fatakin. At that point, that's okay to lose because this group now that I've wiped out Carthag, there's only one regular guarding 3 points of victory. So here's the crazy part. If I had different objective cards, I'm probably threatening a win. However, I don't. I have a red and a yellow for high marks, and currently my green is my high mark. So I need to think about what to do here. So he's looking at attacking a siege. If he has a card, I will move a sandworm out. I think I probably should have dropped worm sign instead. I don't think having a worm near an eco station is particularly useful. I would have rather had worms to come out and counterattack Thufir next turn in case I don't draw any by the harvesters. And he's got I'm like anxiously moving the mouse around here. Sorry, guys. He's got a house dice left. And with a house dice, he can upgrade if he wants. He can put 3 elites out into the desert, absorb the storm. He's just going to attack. Maybe. Maybe he's not going to attack. He's actually right now what we're discussing in the game is he's discussing if he wants to call the game. But the reality is there's only one objective card where I'd win right now, and that's the green 9. So there's the way the objective deck works is there's a green 10, a green 9, a yellow 10, a yellow 9, a red 9, a red 10. So if I have the green 9, the game's over. But I don't. I don't want to tell him that though, because that may impact what he does with his house dice. So I just say go ahead and play your house dice, and we'll see if the game's over. And so he's going to upgrade 3 elites, and now that's going to be a nice attacking army out there. So my assessment is that next turn he can win if he takes the 3 bottom sieges, or if he skips the 1 in the middle and goes for the 2 in the bottom right. I put worm sign out, and you're going to see me make a couple of errors here, and neither of these were intentional, but we'll talk about them here just so everybody knows. First off, when we reveal the worms, I'm placing the worm that is on the bottom into the wrong section accidentally, so that when we clear the worm sign, I'm going to end up moving the worm over to the right. That's going to make things a little bit worse for me. But you have to be careful where you're putting the worms down. You can see how it's straddling 2 locations, and then I lose track of where the harvester was originally. All right, I get 1 storm out, so that's definitely enough to take a siege. And if he takes that siege, then he's only 2 points away from winning, and then maybe Fate in the North Pole gets that last 2 points, or maybe he has troop carriers or whatever else. The other mistake I made is I intended to claim Families Flee to the South before he played his final house dice to upgrade during that turn, but we were talking about end of the game, so I had sort of lost track about what was going on. I play it here, forgetting that it says during the round you have to do it. It doesn't end up making a difference at the end of the game, but it's important to take be careful with how you're scoring objectives because that's slightly impactful. And I realize I pulled the my deployment off the wrong siege. So I pull it off my one siege, keep my two regulars on my two siege, score 1 and 1, don't win, and then we laugh a little bit about not having the correct card. Okay, fine. Also, you'll notice I got 4 sandworms out, which is pretty great. So he only got 2 spice. So that drops a ban, his scouting ban, and he keeps Chome in place. And I think keeping Chome in place is actually wrong. I think what you want to do is you want to keep your discard ability in place because you've only got one spot with 5 units and everywhere else is low. Okay, so he'll be rolling 6 dice. I'll be rolling 4. I have a Bene Gesserit. That means I'm probably only getting 1 worm sign. And I'm going to discard everything here in the hopes of drawing the 3 attack card. Because I could open with that and that would be pretty great and that would end the game. Well, not immediately, but that would put me in a position to win. But I don't. So now I'm a little bit worried. And you can see here as I adjust my worms. So now I have 2 leader, a house, Paul's in the tank, and yeah. Okay, I have a card that will end the game at the end of the turn. Is the World of Similitudes, which is to move Prescient's card markers down and another one up. So the game will end this turn. I just need to make sure he does not get to 10 points. So he's got 2 Ornithopters out on the board. He's got he knows where a 2 siege is, and then he can attack. He just needs to watch out for a 1 siege. He does have a scouting ban in place. He cannot discard cards during a combat. All of these are good things for me. I could attack with a sandworm and then weaken him and then maybe attack with another sandworm if I don't play a Bene Gesserit. I don't feel great about that. I could deploy out there, make it difficult for him, and then deploy and then sandworm. I'm sort of regretting having my units on the eastern side of the board out of position because I haven't used them to score any objectives. I also have a bunch of crap objectives, so I need to be careful not to discard too many cards so he could play a card that makes me discard 2 cards and then the game would be over, potentially because I couldn't score my objectives again. I can win by taking 2 cities, so I could take Haga Basin and Arakeen. So there's lots of nuanced play available right now, and I'm not sure what the correct move is, but I feel like the correct move is to Chani and get a good deployment out in. And actually, Paul's where he should be. So I get a 4 hit point Fatakin out, and I can put Stilgar out there and I can do some damage. So now if he decides to surprise attack with the fear, he will probably kill me. I will probably do enough damage where I can eat the rest of his forces with sandworms is my assessment here. So does he attack or does he upgrade to elites? Again, not a great role for him. You'll note he doesn't have any deployment. And I think he really wanted deployment this turn to get Fade on the board. All that makes sense, because if you have Fade down in the North Pole, he can do quite a bit of damage. So he's going to upgrade the 2 in the desert, I think, and then 1 out in the North Pole. So this creates an interesting conundrum for me, because he can win with 2 level 2 sieges. And the sieges are 2-1-2, 3-1-2 from left to top right. Troop carriers could cause me some problems. I don't have Grandmother of the Storm. What's the reason why he upgraded? Maybe it's to do a better attack, but I think if he was going to attack that siege, he would have done it already. But maybe he knows he needs to move other spaces. I go ahead and use a house dice to deploy. You might say, why not use Aaliyah with a card? Get rid of the surprise attack. I just didn't know. Yeah. So now he has some choices here. He has 3 moves. Really, he has 2 because of Aaliyah. So he could move and take 1 siege. With 3 moves, he can move to... We're trying to figure out where this worm was, and neither of us know, so we think it's here. It actually, I think it would have been slightly better if it was down by that siege down there, but I don't know. So my options are I can move this siege somewhere, and if I could move this siege to the back left of the desert with this Kitam all whatever card, that would put that siege out of reach. But he may not actually be going for that siege, and I've spent so much time defending it, I might as well defend it. And now that I put Chani out there, that's going to be a lot harder to take. So now he's going to have to go after, I think, the bottom 2 sieges, which he can make with 3 moves, because he can fly an Ornithopter next to it, attack, do an Ornithopter, and then a house dice to attack too. So it's possible with 4 dice he could pull that off. So he has 1 extra dice to spend here. I'm betting he is very much wishing he had a deployment or a Mentat. Full control of the air. Okay, that's good. You can put Ornithopters out. Okay. 1 there. Wonder why not put 1 by the remaining capital so you have some flexibility with that 1 single troop out there. Or maybe another one down closer to through fear. Maybe it doesn't matter. So now that he's moving a legion and not attacking, I'm pretty sure he's going to move down south towards that siege there. And this might be a minor mistake here. I think he should... No, I don't think it matters too much, actually. I think he should move down towards the spot that's just north of that, next to my regular. Because, I mean, not that you would ever think about this card, but I do have the move a siege card, and if I move it 1 space to the north, he now has to use an Ornithopter to take it. I should really be thinking about traders, except I guess he doesn't have any Carino card right here. I'm relying on Aaliyah to get rid of one of his dice here, and I'm being a little bit cavalier with the fact that he could just play traders and ruin my day. So I think the correct play here is to Aaliyah. Well, what else am I going to do with my leaders? So I can't Paul action because Paul's still in the tank. I would like to move my Sandworm and maybe do a surprise attack with Chani and Stilgar into that group. But maybe I don't. Maybe I don't win that because I don't have a lot of cards to discard. And if that goes badly, that could also be bad. So I'm essentially just trying to hold out here. And I think I incorrectly assess that the correct move is to play this card to require the use of another ornithopter, basically. But what I want to do is I want to prevent him from taking my 1 siege and then attacking my 2 siege. Because now if he uses his ornithopter to attack, then he's going to need 2 moves and an attack to get back out to my last remaining siege. And even if he takes that, that won't be enough. But I don't necessarily want to tell him that. Okay, so he uses an ornithopter to take my siege with a leader dice. Okay. And this should be a giveaway, I think, for that he is holding on to troop carriers, because why would you use a leadership dice there? So at this point, I should definitely Aaliyah and get rid of. No, that's not true, because if it is troop carriers, he can still play and then move later. So I actually don't Aaliyah yet. Because he doesn't have any Carino cards. So I'm going to draw 2 planning cards, and I'm going to move my group, my units, or my skills up and down to put myself in a position to win. So now we're there. 9 red victory. Everything else is high. And then drawing 2 helps me with combat. He does not have traders, which is a Carino card. If he does have troop carriers, I can Aaliyah at that point, or I can counterplay. He can also do a house dice and then a move and then an attack out into my other siege, but he's going to have to we're we're basically discussing how it's kind of now or never at this point. I do have a worm, worm action, but I don't really need to worry about the fear. But yeah, I think he probably needs to house dice for ornithopter, double move, and hope that he can get to a 3. It is, or not troop carriers, patrols. Yeah, it is patrols. Okay. Okay, so patrols is put 3 Harks out by sieges. So so his concern is that I have Grandmother of Storms, but maybe, but I don't have any. I don't have any Desert Power, or I don't have any Fremen cards. So he's going to put a troop next to each one of my sieges, I think. So my counterplay to this is I need to play Aaliyah and then use my card to do a move. Battle language. And I need to use my card to either attack the guy next to the 3 siege or go back into the siege, which actually is the correct move to do. Because if I move back into the siege, there's no way he can ornithopter into my siege. So over to me. I'm thinking about it for a little bit. He can take a 2. There's no card that lets him take 2 sieges at the same time. I could Stilgar in and let him do 2 moves. He doesn't have any other cards, so he can't troop carriers and then attack. So I just need to do something here. I think the most efficient way to do it is to Aaliyah and then to move a unit, and then that will end the game. I'm looking at smugglers to see if I have anything. I don't. Um, and if it was just Aaliyah without battle language, I don't think I'd be able to do much. So I use Aaliyah to get rid of that. I tell him I have battle language to cover my 3 siege, and then that is the end of the game there at that point. Um, Technically, to close out the game, this is a tournament game, so to end the game, he'll still advance and take a 2 siege, so he'll get 9 points in the event of a tiebreaker, which is pretty great. And yeah, so that is how this ended up playing. And again, just to be clear, because I have a move, I can move into the 3 siege from the group that I have out, and he's attacking with 1 single dice against, I have people I could discard. So, he's better off taking the 2 siege to put himself in a better position for the tiebreaker than otherwise. So that's why we didn't play out a final combat. The correct way to play out the final combat, if this were not a tournament game, would have been for me to put my double regular into the 3 siege for him to attack with a single unit and try to get incredibly lucky with dice rolls. I would need to roll 3 special. No, I would need to roll. I don't think it's actually possible. I think I'd need to roll 3. No, even 3 specials. I'd have a leader. Yep. Yeah, just physically not possible for him to take a 3 siege. All right, that's what I got. I hope you guys appreciated this, and let me know if you think I could have done anything different. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys around.